In the cold darkness of the North Atlantic, beneath more than 12,000 feet of freezing water, lies the silent skeleton of a ship the world once called unsinkable. A ship that carried dreams, luxury, pride, and tragedy. A ship whose name still echoes across history, the RMS Titanic. Tonight, we are diving deep into the untold story of this legendary ocean liner, the ambition behind its creation, the unforgettable night it vanished, the mysteries that still haunt it, and the human stories that make Titanic one of the most powerful events ever recorded. Settle in, because the tale of Titanic is a journey you won't forget. The Titanic was born in an era of fierce competition among shipping companies. Britain's White Star Line wanted the crown for the world's largest and most luxurious ship, not the fastest, but the grandest. And in 1909, construction began in Belfast on the most advanced vessel the world had ever seen. At nearly 900 feet long, filled with velvet dining halls, sweeping staircases, gilded chandeliers, and state-of-the-art compartments, Titanic was more floating palace than ship. Its first-class passengers lived a life of extravagance, meals made by top chefs, Turkish baths, smoking lounges, and suites designed like royal drawing rooms. To many, Titanic was not just transportation. It was human progress made real. But in April 1912, as Titanic prepared for her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York, a quiet sense of pride grew across the world. Newspapers praised it. Engineers boasted about it. Passengers trusted it. Some even believed the ship was invincible, and that confidence, as history shows, came at a devastating cost. On April 10, Titanic sailed into the open sea carrying more than 2,200 passengers and crew. The ship moved smoothly across the Atlantic, its massive engines thundering beneath decks while passengers celebrated, dined, and enjoyed the voyage of a lifetime. But far to the west, drifting silently in the dark, was the danger no one expected, an invisible wall of ice. Over the next few days, several ships sent iceberg warnings to Titanic. Messages flashed through the telegraph room, but many went unnoticed or were not treated with urgency. The seas were calm. The skies were clear. No one imagined that one of the biggest ships ever built could be brought down by something as simple as ice. Then came the night of April 14, 1912. A night that started calm, quiet, peaceful. The ocean lay still like glass. The temperature dropped near freezing. And Titanic continued full speed ahead. Just before midnight, lookouts in the crow's nest spotted something ahead, a massive, dark shape looming out of the night. Iceberg right ahead. Those three words would change history forever. The crew fought for seconds, seconds that could have saved the ship. The engines reversed. The wheels spun. The Titanic began to turn, but it was too late. The ship scraped along the iceberg, tearing open steel plates below the waterline. Most passengers felt only a slight vibration, but in the lower decks, seawater was already rushing in at terrifying speed. Titanic was built to float with 4 flooded compartments. But 5 were filling. The ship was doomed. Captain Edward Smith ordered the lifeboats uncovered. The crew, shocked and unprepared, struggled to understand the scale of the disaster. Many passengers were confused. Some refused to leave the warm, luxurious decks because they thought Titanic was safer than the lifeboats. But the truth was harsh. Titanic had lifeboats for barely half the people on board. As the bow sank lower, the orchestra gathered on deck. They played music to calm the passengers, their final notes becoming one of the most haunting legends of the sea. Families were torn apart. Men stepped back as women and children were loaded first. The wealthy and the poor faced the same fate as icy water crept higher. Distress rockets exploded into the sky. Telegraph operators sent desperate messages. But the nearest ship capable of helping, the Carpathia, was hours away. One by one, lifeboats were lowered into the freezing blackness. Many left half empty, a tragic waste of precious space. Meanwhile, Titanic continued to tilt, groan, and break under its own weight. Inside, dishes crashed, furniture slid, and water flooded every hallway and room. Shortly after 2 a.m., the ship rose high out of the water. People clung to railings. Others prayed. Some jumped. The massive lights flickered, then went dark. Moments later, Titanic split into 2 and disappeared beneath the waves. In less than 3 hours, the greatest ship of its era was gone. Over 1,500 lives were lost that night, more than 2/3 of the people on board. The survivors drifted in icy water, clinging to lifeboats while calling out for loved ones who would never answer. When the Carpathia finally arrived, it found only silence, scattered debris, and a few lifeboats that carried the living. The world woke up to the unimaginable. Newspaper headlines shook every nation. Questions exploded. How could the unsinkable sink? Why were there not enough lifeboats? Could more have been saved? Titanic became more than a tragedy, it became a turning point. New maritime laws were created. Lifeboat requirements were rewritten. Ships practiced safety drills and radio communications. Titanic's loss reshaped how the world travels the oceans. In 1985, more than 70 years after its sinking, a team of explorers finally found the wreck. What they saw stunned the world, a ghostly giant resting silently on the ocean floor. Time, bacteria, and water had eaten through its metal. Rooms were frozen in place. Shoes, dishes, suitcases, and chandeliers lay scattered like silent memories. The wreck revealed painful details, and answered many mysteries. But it also reminded us of the fragility of human ambition. Titanic was a masterpiece of engineering, yet it proved that nature, caution, and humility must never be ignored. Today, Titanic remains a symbol of both achievement and tragedy. A reminder of the dreams people carried across the sea. A story of courage and sacrifice. And a lesson that even the greatest creations can fall. More than a century later, the world still listens. Still wonders. Still feels the weight of that night. Because Titanic was never just a ship. It was a moment that changed history.